many interviews about your time at Palace before, since you left?
No, no,
I didn't think
no,
it's,
no.
it's quite a long time ago now, isn't it? 16 years?
Is that how long it is? 16 years?
15 years, I think. So I've got my maths. Yeah.
Yeah, lots happened in 15 years, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Let's just go back to the very, very start of Palace. You're born in, where did you grow up? What area?
So, officially, I was born in Sidcup, Queen Mary's Hospital in Sidcup. I spent most of my early life over that side of town, and then I moved over to around Croydon. Can't remember now, but I would say I pretty much grew up in Thornton Heath.
Oh,
Grew up in Thornton Heath. Went to Lamfranc School in Mitcham. And that was it. That was that. I went to primary school at Beulah in Thornton Heath. That was my early years.
and I guess like most young kids growing up right next to the Palace ground, what you supported Arsenal or Chelsea or Man United?
No, Liverpool.
Oh, Liverpool, the other one.
My family, my mum's side of the family are from Liverpool.
Okay.
So when I was younger on school holidays and stuff, I used to go up to Liverpool. And obviously you used to support Liverpool. Half my family obviously are blue, half are red, but Liverpool. So ever since I can remember, I used to go to obviously Melwood training ground, see the players when they come out in their cars and bits and pieces like that. Mum used to take me with my uncle sometimes. So yeah, so Liverpool supporter.
I'm going to let you have that one. That's a good link to Liverpool. That's not Glory supporting. So
Yeah, no. It wasn't. I understand that. But, like, obviously, most of my friends are Arsenal supporters, but yeah, I was always Liverpool.
And how much were you aware of like Palace basically in the 90s when you were growing up as being the local club?
Not so much. I don't remember Palace so much like that. I just loved football. I literally just loved everything I did was football. In the house, out the house, sleep, eat, everything was football. I actually remember going to watch Liverpool at Selhurst Park, I think when they played Wimbledon. And I was behind the goal with my mum. That was really, really, I think it was like one of Michael Owen's first games for Liverpool then. But yeah, not so much Palace, but just football in general. And then obviously, because obviously you're around the area, you drive past it, or you will not drive because you didn't drive it, but you used to walk past and by the Sainsbury's, go shopping Sainsbury's, walk it home, vice versa, you know. So then it becomes a bit more a part of your life because it's in and around you every day, isn't it?
Yeah, and how did it come about that you joined the academy?
So I started playing football for my school. And then obviously I got to the Croydon Borough. And then there was a man called Clary Birch. So Clary, obviously I think he saw one or two of my games and he was like, look, come down to Crystal Palace. I'm sure it was him to come down to Crystal Palace, have a trial, whatever. And then literally, I don't really remember much from it. I just remember literally from then being in the academy system. It was different because obviously I used to play for Addiscombe Corinthians when I was about 10. And then obviously I went through that. And then obviously I went through the academy. So like I said, it was literally constantly football. So that was how I got into it wasn't even an academy then. I think it was YTS, youth training scheme or something like that. Because the whole setup was over in Godstone. It was over in Godstone. So yeah, that was that.
That was on the big golf course, wasn't it?
That was the one. So yeah, it was over there. I think the head of that order at that time was John Cartwright. I think it was John Cartwright was overseeing most of the stuff, but that was when I was really young.
So who was in around your time, players that went on to carry on playing?
Yeah, that's an interesting one because in my actual setup, in my thing, we had Gary Bardell, Ben Watson, um, Tom Stores was younger, but he obviously moved up with us. Who else was there? Sam Togwell played a bit. David Hunt. There was a few that played, and we had. It was a really good time. You know, everyone got along with each other, and everyone wanted the same thing. It was actually, you know, looking back, it was a really good time.
It was a bit of a weird time for the club then, wasn't it? Because was it just after the administration and Simon Jordan? Were you in the academy when the club was in admin?
Yeah. To be honest with you, when all that was going on, it was way above my head. I was just only a kid. Now when I look back on it, it was not so much strange, but I was coming through at a time where obviously, like you said, Simon Jordan took over, and in all fairness to him, he did a lot of things to help me and my mom. But like I said, that administration period for me I was way too young to even acknowledge what was really the severity and what was going on to the full extents and stuff.
And I think just before you started getting near the first team was the game, and we put it out a couple of weeks ago actually, where Dougie scores the last minute, the winner near the end against Stockport to keep us up. Do you remember that?
That was still before me, but I remember it. Was it with him and Clinton playing?
Yeah, it would have been him, Clinton.
Yellow kit?
Marcel.
Yellow kit?
Yeah, yellow kit, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. It's strange. I still talk to Dougie now and again sporadically, and sometimes Clinton as well. But yeah, I remember. This is the thing. It's like you said to me. It's 15 years since I played there, and that's even longer. It's strange because some things you still remember like it was yesterday, and some things you have to be re-triggered on. But yeah, I still actually remember that.
Yeah, I was thinking that how hard it must be doing interviews about old stuff because you're 35, aren't you? Yeah, I'm 36, 37. And I thought if someone tried to ask me about like individual days from 2002, 2003, I'd have to sit and think a bit and go, oh God, yeah. But I think because fans watch stuff and they remember it, but then they keep on watching it over and over again. Whereas when you're a player, you're not constantly going back and looking over stuff. You're not going to remember stuff as much as a fan would. Is it?
No, I think we will. If we're triggered, we will. But what we will remember will be different to how you remember it. That's what I think will be different. Like I think the other day I was online and I saw a goal that I scored against Stoke at Selhurst Park, and I was like, wow. And then I sent it to Julian Green. I was like, whoa, that was so long ago. But that game, I don't remember anything from the game. I didn't even remember the goal. I just remembered the celebration.
Oh, okay, nice.
That's what I remembered from it, and I didn't really remember the goal. And then I saw the goal, and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, that was quite a good goal. So, yeah.
So he came in that summer, didn't he? 2001, Bruce, and then
yeah,
he starts this season.
So I don't. From what I remember, obviously I was doing quite well at the youth team at that time, and I remember having a training session. We had a training session. I don't know if it was with the first team or the first team was side by side, and then obviously I remember him saying something, or him saying to a coach or something like, "Oh, like doing well" or something. And then next thing I knew, I can't remember training. Did I train? I'm not sure if I trained with the squad or whatever. But then I was on the bench one game. And the strangest thing about that was, I remember like I was on the bench. I can't even remember. I don't even remember. It might have been like against a Birmingham or a Norwich or something. And I was on the bench and I was warming up and that, and I could see all my teammates from the youth team, and they obviously, because you go and watch the game behind the goal and that, and they were looking at me going, "You're coming on, you're coming on." I was like, "What?" And I think maybe I got like a minute or 2 minutes. But then it was
you scored against Norwich.
Yeah.
And then you came on against West Brom, I think. The next
There
time.
we go. Something like that. Yeah. So I remember coming on one game, but then literally, I remember he was gone.
Mm.
Then he was gone. He was gone. And then obviously, like you said, I think it was Trevor Francis.
Yeah.
And I remember my first. I actually remember. This is strange. So, like I said, most things are a blur. But then I remember my first start, Wolves home. Literally, just I can still remember now. I can remember scoring. I can remember running away, and I can remember like I was trying to get back to where my mum was sitting, and I couldn't get there because AJ grabbed my shirt and gave me whiplash. So I still remember that bit, very vividly. But yeah, it was all everything from there was just a bit of a whirlwind.
It was an early goal, wasn't it? That one, wasn't it? Right.
Yeah, it's like 3 minutes, 3 minutes in. It was crazy.
4-2 win. So in that gap, because that was just looking at it now, that was like about that was almost a year after when you first came on as a sub, because you had a few sub appearances in that first season, and then up until the end, maybe the end of the season, I think you might have come on for 2 or 3 minutes. As a 16-year-old, what happens like in that time? Is it a bit weird where you've been in the academy, and I guess you've got no fear playing in your first few games, and then suddenly you're back playing like under 21 or under 18 games again? Can you remember what it's like in that gap?
To be honest with you, it's strange because when you're in the moment, you don't actually contemplate. You just not do as you're told, but you're just going with it. For me, football was just football. It didn't make a difference whether I was playing first team or wherever. I was just playing. So whether I was playing on Saturday with the first team or Saturday with 18s or whatever it was just football. As long as I was playing, I was happy. And that's the way it's pretty much always been. As long as I'm playing on football, football's fine. It's when you're not playing when it's a problem.
And what kind of a player were you then? Because I'm sure when you first came in, there was talk of you maybe in like a number 10, playing behind a striker. But then, obviously, because you're quick and smaller than other players, then you.
I think it was so when I first started in the youth team, I used to play as like striker. I used to play up front. Obviously, as a small striker coming into the championship, it's not the best thing in the world. It's not the easiest. You'll get pretty much beat up, especially back then. People are a lot bigger and stronger. So I think it was just an easy adaptation to put me, obviously, with your speed to play out wide, and then obviously you just adapt from there, and that's what happened.
And how good was Dougie to play alongside back then? Because he's a good talker, isn't he?
Dougie's one of them people that is very underrated because his attributes are not like, like if you used to build a footballer, he probably wouldn't have the attributes you wanted, but he had a brain that was 2 steps ahead of people. So he's, I think as you get older and you appreciate the game more and you understand it, the more you analyze and understand the game, you can appreciate players who do that kind of thing a hell of a lot more. I mean, when you're younger, you just think, wow, like, what are they playing? What are they doing? What are they bringing to the table? But when you get older, you understand that they might not need to run or need to do as much, but when they do something, it has a hell of a lot more effect than constantly running up and down the pitch 500 times,
Mm. Has your game changed a lot over the years?
Yeah. I mean, it's strange. When I first started playing football, I never used to ever pass the ball. I just remember picking up the ball and just running, just literally like not head down, but I just wanted to run with the ball and beat people. And end product wasn't great. It wasn't always great, but I guess it was kind of exciting because you pick the ball up and you run and things happen and stuff. You might lose it 2 or 3 times. One time you'll get past, 2 times you get past. So I guess it's exciting to watch, but as you get older, you progress and you understand that there has to be an end product to it. You have to create more, you have to assist more, you have to score more. You can't lose the ball as much. You understand the areas where you can do X, Y, Z and where you can't. But it all comes with learning, and the ones that learn quicker obviously have a longer lifespan, more longevity, and in effect, probably go longer and further in the game.
Do you feel like you learned quickly? Because you played a lot of games at a young age. Like people don't come into first teams until they're 20, 21, but you're in there from 15 or 16, weren't you? Do you feel like you learned quickly?
I look back and I'm looking back as I'm talking to you, and I don't think I was learning. I think I was just playing. I don't think it's strange. I learned an unbelievable amount from Murray Jones and Derek Broadley, who was obviously in head of youth team when I was growing up through there. And then after that, when I was playing, I don't think it was as much as I was learning. I was just playing. I think I only really and then obviously when I was going away with the England youth setups, I was learning. So that's fair enough. But apart from that, I don't think I actually relearned football properly until I came to Swansea with Brendan Rodgers, and that was a whole new. Well, it wasn't new, but it was a re-education to how football is played and how football is meant to be played. So I think literally, as I said, for maybe 6, 7 years, I was just playing, not learning, just playing. And if I would have, if like I said, I've said before in an interview before, I've said if I could have maybe had someone like Brendan 2-3 years before in my career, or being here with someone like that 2-3 years before, I could have done a lot more. But time is time, and you are where you are. I'm going to change anything.
Yeah, well, I guess if you look at the managers that you started under, they all would have been under pressure like Trevor Francis was under pressure to get the club promoted.
Yeah. Then
he left, and then you had Steve Kember, and then Ian Dowie, and then that's all about getting promotion and then staying in the Premier League. They're not going to have time to, well, maybe they should have done, but they're not going to have time to look at you individually, and because there's just so much pressure on them in that situation.
Yeah, of course. Ian Dowie and John Harbin was great for me. I think they installed a work ethic in me that I still have to this day. So that still is etched in my psyche, because we did really, 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 really work hard under them, but we got the results. So I guess that's probably what etched in my mind. If you work hard and you do work hard, you will get the results. So still to this day, it's still ingrained in my memory that.
Yeah, let's talk about that season actually. So it started off with Steve Kember, and it wasn't a great start. It had that 5-0 defeat against Wigan, which was when he lost his job. What do you feel wasn't going right with the team then at the start of that season?
Honestly, I don't remember too much about it. I remember that 5-0 at Wigan. I remember, I'm sure it was on TV. I'm sure it was on TV, and I'm sure there was a word between chairman, and it weren't very pleasant or something like that. And then after, obviously, what happened, and then obviously Ian Dowie came in, and it weren't so much of, I can't remember so much of a big change, but it was just literally, let's just say the schedule was up. I remember working extremely hard. Like we used to do we did gridiron drills. We had to do 40 or 50 laps in a pool twice a week. We was fit. I mean, there was nobody going to run us into the ground. I mean, that for a fact. And we could keep going a lot longer than other people. And I think in the end, that kept us going. I mean, we had obviously we had experience, but then we had legs in the team as well, and we knew how to get over the line in the end. I mean, I think we've been on an incredible run, considering what happened in the season to get promoted. And obviously we ended up in the Millennium, and that was an amazing day. So yeah, that's what I remember from that.
Yeah, what was it like playing with? We went out to Ireland and interviewed Michael Hughes. He talked a lot about the fitness stuff. He's a good midfielder, wasn't he?
Very underrated. You don't hear much about him. I think it was, and this is what I mean. Like the older I get, and the more I understand football now, he's very underrated. Because back in the day, I didn't see it. just saw him do things and like, oh, okay, yeah. But he used to glide, and he used to make things look very simple, but they're not. Like they're not simple, but he made it look very simple. I mean, I saw actually, I think it might have been that game as well. That same Stoke game, he scored an unbelievable goal.
Yeah, it was 6-3, I think, that game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it's the thing. People that make things look effortless, people think, oh, that's simple, I can do that, but you can't. And the people that make things look really easy, that's the test of a true footballer, to be honest with you.
How much did the characters help in that team? Because, I mean, it looks like Sean Derry, Danny Butterfield and AJ were quite a good trio.
Yeah, they were inseparable.
Yeah.
They was inseparable. I think that was the good thing, though. I think, like, obviously there was not, like, groups and stuff, but I think they came, not as a package, but they came together around roughly the same time. You had the good boys that were there for a while. You had, obviously, younger bodies that came through, and then you had, obviously, people that had been around the block and knew how to get over the line. So the blend was good, and you had the right ages at the right times, and it all meshed together. Everyone worked hard, and we got the results.
Yeah, we're showing all the playoff games this weekend. So the two Sunderland ones, they've got to be two of the best legs of playoff semi-finals ever, right? For how much you went back and forth.
Yeah, I just remember the first game, and we should have been. I'm not outside, but I think we should have been further away than we was. I think we played well that game, but obviously we didn't not put it to bed. But we should have been further away. And then I just remember being at a stadium and like thinking, "There's no way." I was playing the game thinking, "There's no way I'm losing this game. There was no way it just wasn't going to happen. We weren't going to lose." And obviously it went on and on and on and on, and then we got to penalties. And I remember missing. And I was thinking, how have I missed the penalty? What have I done here? Have I messed this up? Have I messed this up? And then the next thing I knew, I was sprinting down the field, and we was nearly there.
How did they put you on? I don't know, as being like the youngest one in the team, putting you on the first sudden death penalty. You
know what? I probably said that I wanted to take it. I don't actually remember, but probably me being me then, I was like, yeah, I'll take it. I don't mind. Back then, like you say, before, not having no fear, I didn't. I just wanted to play. I wanted to play and I wanted to win. And I look back, and sometimes my mum actually at the time, she had I'm sure, I don't know, I haven't seen it for years, but there used to be loads of clippings, I think, in obviously the local the advertiser. And pretty much every other week I was scoring up to someone who was maybe 6 foot tall or whatever, but I was constantly scoring up. I didn't care. I just knew I wanted to play and I wanted to win. I didn't care. I just had to win. And that was my psyche.
It wasn't that bad a penalty. I was watching it.
It wasn't that bad, but if any penalty that doesn't go in is not a good penalty. You have to score from that distance.
I mean, the next one was even worse. The guy that missed for them, I think it was Jeff Whitley. He tried to do the little hesitate before he took it.
I don't mind. It worked out well for us. So.
Yeah, and then you mentioned the final. So at the Millennium, every player, because we went out to Finland and chatted to Aki once, and Michael Hughes and Danny Butterfield. Everyone said that as you were going to that game, you knew you were going to win it.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange because, like I said, you always pretty much see one team every year in the playoffs and sneak into the playoffs, and then they have a good try. We just had that, not winning mentality, but we just had a winning habit. We had a winning habit, and it was one of them ones where we had a winning habit, and we never knew when to stop. And there was, for me back then, it was like I wasn't allowed to be tired. I was drilled, like I said to you, like we worked really hard, so I was drilled into the psyche that you're not tired. You go through pain, and if you're tired, keep going. And I remember that day being ridiculously hot. I remember the sun beating down on that pitch, and it's not a small pitch, Millennium's a big pitch. And I just remember keep running up, down, I think I even, the picture that I have in my memory is I think I went on a one-on-one with Hayden Mullins because he was at West Ham at the time.
Mm.
And I think I went between him and somebody else, and I got brought down, and I kind of got up and threw them down and kept on running. But yeah, like I said, I just remember we wasn't to come that far in that season. We wasn't going to lose. It didn't matter how, we was not going to lose. And then obviously AJ shoots, Goldie parries it, Ships is there to get it over the line, and as soon as that goal goes in, I think you could have brought the National Guard, the Army, whoever you want, and we weren't going to let no one score. So, yeah.
And then were you aware before the game about West Ham having their party booked afterwards, and when they wearing suits and all you lot were in like old dirty tracksuits?
Didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue. That as I said, none of that had any effect or anything on me back then. All I wanted to do was win. And I think you gave someone who's come from that area and whatever chance to do that and get to a Premier League to play against the best players and the best teams in the world, that we weren't going to give that chance up. So that's what happened.
And in the summer in between, like what do you reckon you would have been thinking about playing in the Premier League? Do you think did you think the team had a good chance of staying up?
In all honesty, I didn't think about anything. No, look, I'm being honest. Was just happy to be and play. Just wanted to play. Wanted to, I guess, in effect, see how good I was compared to what was in the best league in the world. So that was my opportunity to do that, and that was it. So we worked obviously really hard that pre-season. That was a really hard pre-season again. I think we went to maybe to Ireland, and we were doing like 4 sessions a day. We were doing 4 sessions a day. I think it was like wake up at 6, in the pool for 6:30, 50 laps or whatever, training, then breakfast, then training, rest, training, rest, gym. So like I said, we worked really, really hard, and we was really, really prepared for it.
Are you surprised that Ian Dowie never hit the heights, because he's not managing now, never hit the heights as a manager that maybe everyone thought he was going to at that point? Because he was like the hot young thing at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah, I guess so. But then I think sometimes in football, it's easy to get, what's the word? It's easy to get earmarked for a certain thing. And I think some people are more fashionable than other people. I don't think he was one of them people that, he's a very, very smart man, by the way. He wanted to just do his job and not deal with all that other silly stuff that comes with it. He wanted to do his job and do it well and not worry about the other bits and pieces of it. And I think with the way that football was going at that time, you had to obviously not only do well on that side, but you had to play the game a bit more and do X, Y, and Z that obviously as a new manager coming through that, you needed to concentrate on making sure your team's right, your players is right, everything underneath you is right. And maybe some other parts maybe got missed and then it got lost in translation. But I still see him on beIN TV and things like that now. So I'm sure he's happy and content with how things have gone for him.
That season came so close to staying up. But it was a really good one for you personally. Was it 9 assists, 10 assists in that season? You're up there at the top of the stats. How good was it for you playing behind someone like AJ, who was on fire that year?
Yeah, it was great because I had a good understanding with him. I had a great understanding. I mean, now I look back on it, I understand how AJ played. I mean, AJ was obviously extremely quick, but he made really good runs. So if you have someone like me that can break a line, and you have someone like him that will constantly run behind the defence towards goal, you should 2-3 times a game get a chance. And that's kind of what happened. Sometimes we did. Sometimes we took him. Sometimes we didn't. But that was a really good learning for me because looking back, he made really good runs. And really good runs, you have to pass the person the ball. Whereas before I was saying that all I would do is pick the ball up and run. It's okay, running. But when you have someone that makes a run that you have to pass them the ball, you have to do it because if you don't, you look silly. So think that helped me a lot as well.
The fact that so many players were signed in the summer, did that affect the team's momentum at all from the year before?
No, I wouldn't say so, because obviously you have to add bodies, and you have to try add quality in the areas, and you have to strengthen. It's the Premier League, and you're going into a relative unknown, so you have to try and strengthen, and then obviously you have to try and get cohesion. It's not always as easy as that, but if I look back on it, we should have stayed up. I mean, we look back on that last game, we was there, but it wasn't to be.
You got any moments that stand out for you from that year?
From that year?
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, the one moment that stands out is that last game against Charlton, where I hit a ball on the half volley from about 35, 40 yards that I was pretty sure was going, and it didn't. I think Dean Kiley made an unbelievable save. Still to this day, I don't know how it's gone in. Because if that goes in, everything is different. Like, everything is different. So I remember that, and I remember being in tears at the end of the game. And Ian Dowie come up with his, just kind of like tried to console me a little bit, because obviously we knew what was happening. So yeah, that's kind of what I remember, which is pretty sad, because it was a really good year. I mean, it was a great year, to be honest with you, but that's the overriding thought that I have.
Did beat Liverpool that season.
We did a lot of good things that season, but you don't seem to remember the good stuff. You always seem to remember the...
There's that one, it's the header, I think it's against Liverpool, AJ scores, where you volley. Is that a shot?
Yeah.
It was a good assist.
It was a shot. It was a shot. But yeah, like I said, there's so many good... I mean, I think we beat Tottenham 3-0 at home that year. I mean, and that was a team that were trying to do stuff as well. So there was great memories. I mean, that was the first year that Chelsea and Mourinho got together, and they was unstoppable. I mean, I remember playing them at home, and I think Drogba scored his first goal. I was looking and thinking, who is this monster? And then he goes on to be superstar and X, Y, Z, and doing all that stuff that they do. So
yeah, talking of that in that season, so because you mentioned obviously that you knew you were leaving. At what point in the season did you know that you weren't going to be signing a new deal?
It was difficult for me. It was difficult. In essence, I didn't want to leave. I could have, well, I nearly left the year before. I didn't want to leave, but it was Ian Dowie that, it was a mix between Ian Dowie and obviously his son and Jordan Chen that's like, no, you're not going anywhere, blah, 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 blah. We'll get something sorted out, whatever. And then it kept on going and going, and nothing was getting sorted out. And then I kind of got offered like not a token deal, but I got offered a deal that I didn't think was right. In all honesty, I don't think it was right. I mean, I think, without getting into the technical aspects, I was, like I said to you, I was playing football or whatever, but I was playing for relative terms, not what I should have been doing, which is fine, no problem. I'm young and whatever. And then I got offered something that wasn't what I should have been offered, and I had multiple offers, more than what was received and whatever. But I thought the right thing to do at the time was obviously to move on and try and better myself with better players. Me and my family made that decision as a whole to try and do that, and that was that.
I guess it happens a lot with players when you're the one that comes through the academy.
Yeah.
Your terms aren't as good as, even though, like, because if you look purely on how well you played that season, the amount of assists you've got, and then you know that you're not being rewarded the same as other people that aren't performing as well, then anyone, you know.
Yeah. That was kind of the resided thing. It weren't so much like it just wasn't right. Like, I can't get into the terms of it. It just wasn't right. Other people were getting, like you say, rewarded to a way bigger extent, and I thought that, well, you've helped me, you've got me into this position. What do we do here? And then if it's not right, it's like everything in life. If it's not right, it's not right. And if it's not right, you're not going to do it. And that's basically what it was. Like I said, there's many things that you look back on and think, wow, if that could have been different, if this could have been different, but it was what it was.
So was it quite sad to leave then at the end of that season, seeing as you come through the academy?
I think I remember a couple of days after. I was saying to them, it was already that I was kind of done, and I said to them, remember, I don't want to go. Like, I can't. I felt like, not that I'd let people down, but I was leaving and we'd just been relegated. I just didn't feel right, you know. But it sat on my hands. It sat on my hands.
And then you went to Spurs. You mentioned how you just wanted to play. I guess the problem there was when you went there, you weren't playing anywhere near as much as you were at Palace, were you?
No, so this was in effect what happened there. So I went there. Ready to play. Obviously, I played that whole season in the Premier League. Played the whole year before. Played the Premier League year. That summer, I didn't have a break. I went to Toulon with the England team. Came straight back to a pre-season. Went to South Africa. Tons of stuff. I ended up coming back, starting the Premier League, playing my first game, Portsmouth away. And I remember just playing and having a feeling that someone was stabbing me in my foot constantly. So when I got a scan, it turned out that I'd broken my foot in a part of my foot that basically doesn't have enough oxygen. So it took like 5 months or so to heal, in effect. So I went there with all the best intentions in the world, done pre-season, it was all good, and I was doing all right, we was fine. Started the season, that happened. So it took me a good 5 months to get back. In that time, obviously that summer we bought, I think it was Adele, Tarat, me, Tom Hoddleston, Aaron Lennon. So it was good business from Tottenham that year. That summer they did great business. So, and in that time it gave, obviously as I was playing at Leeds, he was young, but it gave him a chance to find his feet, and obviously being away from home, and he progressed unbelievably. And then that was that. So that avenue was a really tough part for me, because obviously, like I said, I just wanted to play football. And when I got back and I couldn't play football, it was the first time that I was never actually allowed to play football. I was like, well, I want to go play football. No, you can't go and play football. So in the end, I ended up going on loan. I agreed to go on loan. Tried to play and whatever I was playing. Just trying to get games and play. I think it's Portsmouth. Then I went to Fulham. And like, I wasn't playing as much as I wanted to, but I was still in and out playing games here and there sporadically, learning different people. So yeah, that was that. But I remember trying to leave on a permanent, and I wasn't allowed to go. I was always told, no, you can play here. We all know you have the ability to play here. You're just mentally not right. You need to work on this mentally and get over this. And I just wanted to go play football. So yeah, that was that.
So do you hit a point mentally where, as you mature a bit, you do start overthinking things, or at all when it affects your play? Or for your whole career, have you been pretty laid back and just you don't overthink things before you go on?
No, that is all. I think even to this day has been the hardest part of my whole career. That maybe year to 18 months at Tottenham, because, like I said, I've always tried to play football, no matter what I've done. I've always tried to move. If I had to move a club, it was to play football. If I had to go on loan, it was to play football. I always wanted to play football, and I wasn't actually able to play football, and I wasn't actually able to move on with my career. So I was kind of stuck in a bad place. You know, I have some, like, Tottenham was a great place to go at the time, but I have some, like I said, you sometimes don't even remember the bad things. I remember under one-day Ramos having to train for 60 days in a row because they told me I was in a fat club and I was never doing fat.
Yeah.
Like silly things like that. Just silly things that aren't like you remember the silly things like when you look back on it. But like I said, that mentally was the toughest time in my career.
So it must have been great when Simon Jordan said in the press about it. We did a chat actually with John Bostock a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He basically got it all out, everything that he wanted to say. But Simon Jordan said it wasn't nice, was it? What he said about your career when he was trying to warn John Bostock off moving.
But this is the thing. You actually have no. You can say what you want. It's easy. Hindsight is such an easy thing. It's strange. I ran into Simon Jordan a few years ago, and he actually said like well done. Like he actually said well done, like on your career and what's been happening and that. So that was actually a bit of a sweet moment because obviously I haven't seen him for years, and obviously words are words, and is what it is. But yeah, he said some things, and look, let's be honest. Simon Jordan is a man that speaks very frankly. If he got something to say, he'll say it. So he said what he felt, and that was it.
But now you got a home, Swansea City. I couldn't believe it when I looked that you've been there 9 years. So that's like I said, and more than anyone else in your career.
Yeah.
Head of Palace.
It's I guess it's my home away from home. It's the best way to look at it. I've touched on it before with when I said to you, this is probably where I learned to play football. Obviously, I learned to play football when I was younger, but I was just playing. But when I actually learned to play football was under Brendan Rodgers, I think. Learned to play football under Brendan Rodgers and then expanded it a bit more under Michael Laudrup. And then just carried it on from there, really.
How many years do you reckon you've got left in you?
How long's a piece of string? No, I don't know. It's strange. My teammates, if you ever spoke to any of my teammates, so I'm a bit of a freak in terms of I'm still fit. I can still run up and down. I can still do X, Y, Z. I can still do things that I guess some people can't do. I guess it's all mental. When I know that I can't do it, this is the thing. If I can still do things, bits and pieces, I can still do it. And if people see me of value, then it's okay. But obviously, everyone has a time where it will expire. So when that day comes, I'm sure I'll know. But for now, just enjoy it and see what happens.
What's it been like for you when you come back to Selhurst Park? You've got a good reception, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, look.
Recently,
like I said, home is home. This is my home away from home. But for me, that's always going to be the where I started. It's strange. Like I said, that I have so many fond memories of that place. And then, but as soon as you say that about good reception, it's mad because I remember. I think the last time I went there, I remember getting clapped and whatever. But I was walking off the pitch and I had someone that come over and obviously said some explicit stuff to me or whatever. And I was like, really? Like, are we still there? Are we still there? But look, I haven't got a bad word to say about that place. I think it's amazing. So even the fans now, like the fans, you got the ultras, the noise that they make there, it's unbelievable. Like I said, I'm still in and around the area, still my friends are all around there. Selhurst Park's always going to be Selhurst Park. I'd love to see them maybe modernise it a bit, but God knows what's going to happen after all this stuff. You see what happens when the dust settles after this coronavirus.
Yeah. And I just wanted to finish just on Swansea recently. He's had a good season. Jordan Ayew, before he came to Palace, I think he won is it Players Player of the season?
Yeah. But did you see, what about when he first comes to Palace? People were like, oh, Jordan. Now,
yeah, he's great. To be honest, I thought he was the first season he was here. He worked so hard because he's like the first line of defence in a way. He works so hard up at the front, but now this season he's finishing as well.
This is the thing. A lot of people it's not easy to go in a team, obviously, when you've got Wilf that is the focal point, you know, and then you've got obviously Benteke, then you had Andros. It's difficult. I mean, the team sort of sets itself up, so he had to bide his time and wait. Obviously now, I think he's one of the trusted three at the top, because you know what you're going to get from him. Sometimes it might not go always great, but he's always going to put his body on the line. He's always going to run till he can't run anymore. And he pops up with goals. I mean, the goal against Brighton, what's that worth? Everyone be happy for a long time because of that, you know. I mean, he's a special person as well, because there's no ego with him. There's no ego with him, so he will not gladly, because I'm not saying he won't do it, but he will do the work that people don't want to do. And maybe it goes. That's the thing, I guess, in football. A lot of people only see the goals and assists and the nice things, but people don't look at the stuff that, you know, the dog work that people do that you don't actually see. But if you look over, a manager or a coaching staff will say, "Wow, you couldn't have done that without him doing that, or you couldn't have done that without him pressuring in there." So he's become a very important player at Palace right now.
Yeah, he's probably going to win. It'll be him or our goalkeeper probably winning Player of the Season, I reckon, this year. So it's done all right.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The top and the bottom is where you win and lose matches, isn't it? So yeah, but like I said, I still keep an eye on what's going on. I still keep an eye on a lot of things, but obviously back there is keep an eye on what's the results most of the time as well. So always nice to know what's going on that basis.
Cool. Look, thank you so much. I'm going to let you get back to your kids because they obviously.
Yeah, don't worry. They're going to bully me because I need to go and make them lunch and stuff now.
Okay, nice. Well, look, thanks for taking time out. I know it's been a long one, but it's probably been good to talk about Palace maybe after all that time.
Yeah, look, obviously, like I said to you, sometimes you look back and you obviously remember the worst things, but I had so many good memories there. Met so many good people that I'm still in contact with today. And the God's honest truth is, I could probably might have been somewhere without Palace, but I wouldn't have had it any other way. I think I learned the best way. I learned with the best people around me. And like I said, I've got friendships that I still have to this day. So I'm forever grateful for the opportunity in life that they give me, and always will be.
Cool. Thank you very much, Wayne. I'll hopefully see you at Selhurst at some point when Swansea come up.
Yeah, hopefully I won't get booed. All right, no problem.
Cheers.